What's up YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we'll be doing a multi-denominational bank wrapped coin roll hunt. So we've got I think 100 in dimes, we've got 80 in nickels, and we've got 320 in quarters. I actually got this from my local Fifth Third, or one of my local Fifth Thirds, and it's one I don't go into a whole lot. They only had one teller that had change in her personal safe, and I just said, what do you have? And this was probably 90% of the coin that she had in there. I left her with about $50 worth of quarters and I think like $100 worth of dimes, and that was it. That's all she had. So I feel like I kind of robbed the place a little bit, but I hope it's going to be fun. We're going to start off with these dimes. We're going to move into the nickels and then finish with the quarters. So I'm looking forward to it. So let's jump in. All right, well, we've gotten situated, so I'm going to start with these dimes, and we're going to go ahead and open all of these dimes on camera because the only thing we're really looking for is silver, and we're going to do that by edge hunting these rolls. And if you've never seen a coin roll hunt before or know what edge hunting is, it looks a little bit like this. We're just looking at these coins from the edge, and we're looking for a solid gray or silver line. And if we find it, we know we have silver, and if we don't, it's all clad. Now, I do have a document in the description down below this video and every video on, or every coin roll hunt video that I think I have on my channel. It has a checklist of all the things you should look for, whether you're hunting pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, or half dollars. And there are a handful of low mintage dimes, and a couple of varieties that you can look for, but they're really hard. Dimes are really hard to see, and the things you're looking for are so hard to find that I personally just don't invest the time when I'm hunting dimes. So if you are trying out dime hunting, I suggest your first couple of hunts, maybe use my checklist, see what you can find. And if it gets to be too much, especially if you're just hunting silver, there are much better options than dimes. So with that, I'm going to be real quiet, and I'm just going to keep hunting through here until we happen to find something interesting. And I guess before I do that, I should mention I will, as I go through these to rewrap them, I will put the rolls, or I will kind of spread out the coins looking for proofs. They'll jump right out at us because there'll be a deep mirror finish, and you can't miss a proof even if you just see a little tiny bit of it. So we might get lucky and find a proof in this as well, and that would be your San Francisco mint marked dimes. Okay, well, all we made there was a mess. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of look through these dimes kind of like this with a wash to see if anything like proofs jump out at me. There we go, I got it out. And we will get these re-rolled, and we'll move on to the nickels. So the dimes were a bust, so we're going to go ahead and jump into the nickels. And like I said at the beginning, we've got $80 worth of nickels. So this is almost a full nickel box hunt. These are Brinks rolls, every single one of them. There might be a couple that were completely 2023s, but we are going to be trying to fill up our Jefferson nickel album that's 1938. It says to 2003, but I actually bought the extra pages. You can see here that it gets me all the way up to 2022. And rather than go through every single page to show you the holes, I've created a little cheat sheet here for all of the nickels we're looking for, and most of them are pretty low mintage. As a matter of fact, some of them are key dates and semi-key dates. But they're all listed here if you want to read those off real quick. I'm also missing pretty much all the proofs. This book does have holes for proofs, and I've only found 2 or 3 proofs coin roll hunting, and I'm only filling this book with coin roll hunt finds. So this is the list we're looking for. As I said earlier in the video, I do have a document in the description down below that does have all the key dates, semi-key dates, varieties, and so on that we're looking for when we look at nickels. So make sure you head on down there, download that document. It's free for you to download and free for you to use. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get into these nickels, and I'll be sure to bring you in as soon as we find something. And I will end up looking at every nickel. I just kind of wanted to scoop through here real quick and see if it looked like we had any oldies jumping out at us. And I don't see any. So hopefully we'll see you often. So we're on roll 7, give or take, and we've got our first find. And we've come across a buffalo. And this one has definitely seen better days. Looks like we're dateless, so I might nick-a-date this one by the end of the video just to see what year we got, because I am filling a buffalo nickel book as well. And it looks like we also have a mint mark down there. It looks like a D. Now, if this is a raised mound, like with no line on it, I think that automatically makes it like a 1913, if I'm not mistaken, 1916, something like that, because there was a type 1 and a type 2, and one of them didn't have that real defined line, but that's tough to say with how much wear there is on this buffalo nickel. So I've gone ahead and pulled out my buffalo nickel album just to take a quick look, and I actually popped this out and then accidentally popped it back in there. But the 1913D raised ground, 5.337 million. I believe I already have one of those. I did nick-a-date this one. You can see we clearly have that 3 on the end. I believe that is a 1913 based on the nick-a-date. And we do have that D, and we have the same kind of look on this one. So we don't have that defined line all the way across, which means this is the raised ground version. This is the type 1 according to PCGS. And I'm going to compare that to the one we just pulled. Obviously, we don't have a date, but on the reverse, it looks really, really similar. And for those of you, if you have a really nice 1913D ground in recess, according to PCGS in a G4, which is pretty cruddy condition, the thing's worth about $110. So that would be an amazing find and a nickel hunt. So if you have more information on this nickel or you think I'm wrong, let me know in the comments down below. And like I said, by the end of this video, I will probably go ahead and nick-a-date this thing just to be sure. So I think we're getting into roll number 10 here, and we look like we got something pretty old. So I'm going to go ahead and open this one on camera just to see what we have. All right, well, let's take a look together here. Got that oldie on that side, something new on this side. Fortunately, it is not a war nickel, which is disappointing because it'd have a mint mark above the Monticello building. Now, it is here on this end. See what we have. We've got our first 40s find of the hunt. We've got a 1941. Looks like a Denver. Absolutely is a Denver. So we'll put our buffalo on this end, our 41 on that end, and we will go ahead and keep on hunting. But while I got you, let's just quick look through here. See if anything jumps out as old. That's just a 64. There's a 58. Looks like a Denver as well. That is, we've got ourselves a 58 Denver in the same roll. So we'll put that here. Another 64. And I'll go back through these with a little fine-tooth comb, but we got a 59, so this is a really good roll. There's a 59 Denver. And let's see here, 65, 64. All right, that looks like that's it for the 40s and 50s. So let me get through these and I'll get into the next roll. And if there's any varieties for those, I will check them off camera. And if we've got one, I'll bring you back in. I believe we're on roll 12, and we've got our next find here on the mat. We've got ourselves a 1948. Looks like a filly. Not in too bad a shape, and I believe it's our second 40s on the hunt. Same roll, just a couple of nickels later, we got a cruddy 1947. I could use some tender love and care there. Looks like we've got a Denver. We're on roll 13, and we've come across our next find. We've got ourselves a 1952, it looks like. Get that to focus. 1952 looks like that's an S. Don't see a lot of San Francisco minted nickels, but we'll take it. 1952 S. We're on roll 14, and we've got our next find. We've got ourselves, looks like there, a 1951. Let's Let's check it out. Looks like we've got a Philly, 1951 Philly. We're on roll 24 out of 40, and we've come across our next find, and it's an oldie. It's a 1939, it looks like. Let's get in there close. Yep, that is a 1939. Now, we need the Denver and we need the San Francisco. Those would be book fillers, and I think they're both key or semi-key dates, so let's check it out. And it is the Philly, unfortunately, and it has a pretty severe doubling. DDR down here in Monticello and 5 cents, which I'm not seeing. So just a 1939 for the hunt. We're on roll number 28. We have our next find. It's not a very pretty one, and it's not going in my book because I already have one, but it's the first 2009 of this hunt. For those of you that don't know, the 2009 was a very limited mintage year, and these are pretty tough to come by. Now, this one's beat up. I'll be sending this one back only because I've found a handful of them over the years. But if you're new to hunting nickels, you should look for these and hang on to them. I've got Red Book here just to give you an idea of mintages. Let me back out. If you look at most of them, we're talking 600, 700, 800 million, 200 million, 300 million. We get to 2009. The Philly had just south of 40 million. The 2009D had just north of 46 million. So very, very low mintage year on that 2009 and difficult to come by. So very same roll, bringing you in here towards the end. This guy just looked really, really old, and I was hoping to see a Philadelphia or a San Francisco or a Denver mint mark above the building there, because that would mean we had silver. Instead, we've got here, just on the corner, looks like a San Francisco mint mark. So let's check out what year we have. It is a 1940S, and this one has been through the ringer. But I don't believe we have one of those on this hunt, so we'll take it. On roll 29, and we've got our next find here towards the end of the roll. We've got ourselves a 1946. So we've got a mint mark, just a Philly. We're on roll 34 towards the end, and we've got kind of a big one right here. We've come across a 1950 Jefferson nickel. Now, the 1950 Philadelphia is a semi-key date. It has just under 10 million minted. The 1950D, I believe, was just under 3 million minted. I'll put those mintages on the screen. But we need the 1950D for our book. This is one that's evaded us for quite some time. Let's check it out. And we've got another Philly. So we've already got one of those in the book. I think I've got a couple of these in flips. This will be something I hang on to, even though it's got some scratches and a little worse for wear. This is a pretty tough nickel to find, so happy to have it, but it'll go on the board as a find. So we've reached the end of our nickel hunt, and we ended up with about 20 finds and one potential book upgrade. I don't believe any of this stuff, after looking at it, is going to upgrade my books, but we did find a couple of cool things that I'm going to flip up and keep. The first one being this Buffalo nickel. I did go ahead and nicodate this thing, and I'll see if I can get in here real close for you. You can see that 3 right there. This is a 1913, and it is the, I believe this is the raised ground version of this. There's that little D mint mark there. That ground and recess would have been super nice. I don't think that's what we have here. But this one had like 5 or 5.5 million minted. It's seen better days, and I have one in the book. I'm probably going to upgrade this one on my Buffalo book because you can see a little bit more of the 5 on this one than you can of the one that I have. So I'll compare those, and if this is truly an upgrade, I'll drop it in there. Either way, that's something I'm going to hang on to. We did find ourselves a really nice 1939. We did have that 40S. Pretty tough to find the 40S, but not an upgrade to the book. We found a 41, a 46, and I'm not going to call out mint marks for all these, but a 47, a 48. This 1950 we are going to flip up and hang on to. These are pretty tough to find. We did get a 51. We had 3 52s. I think we had a Philly and at least 1 or 2 Denvers. We had a 58. That was a Denver. And then I know we had a whole good mix of 1959s. I ended up, I think, with 6 1959s here. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know we had some Philly and Denver 1959s. This 2009D, I'm going to pitch back because I have much nicer ones than this. And the only real upgrade to my books will be this 1963 Philly that I didn't really bring you guys in for, but this is a gorgeous 1963 Philly, and just looks a lot nicer than what I have in my book today. So I'll go ahead and get that popped in off camera. But now we're going to move on to these quarters. Okay, so we have $320 or 32 rolls of quarters to get into, and this will also be a hunt and fill series. However, I have very, very few quarters to get. Do I have my cheat sheet around here? I do. Let me grab that right now. But first, let's look at this roll and see if we got any silver. We do not. Very quickly, my cheat sheet is that for my Series A books, really all I'm looking for is a handful of the newer women's quarters, that like the Coleman Denver Minted and any of the new Kanaka Ole Denver Minted or any of the newer beyond Kanaka Ole. Other than that, Series 1 is done. Series 2 is also all done except for the Denver Minted Pennsylvania and New Mexico state quarters, or I'm sorry, national park quarters. And then we have the same story for the women's quarters. So we have very few quarters that we can actually use to fill our books. Other than that, we're looking for things like silver, which would be our pre-1964 stuff. We're looking for any number of the die chip errors that are out there, like this one. And I'll show you later in the video under the scope. But this one, the Man Killer quarter has a little die chip in the hair, so we just found one of those. We'll be looking for the Drooling George. We'll be looking for the extra leaf error here on this Wisconsin quarter. Most of these die chip errors aren't worth a whole lot of money. Typically, you know, $1 or $2, maybe up to $4 or $5. But the main thing we're really looking for is our West Point quarters. Those were only minted in 2019 and 2020. They are accompanied by a big W here instead of a, let me find one of them. Well, like this one. Rather than a P or a D, we would find a W mint mark. And that is something that is highly sought after. Those things can be, you know, $8, $10, $15, $20, $25, depending on the condition and the design. So we desperately love finding our West Point quarters. Like I said, silver is always a plus. We're also have our eye out for San Francisco minted business strikes, as well as San Francisco minted proofs. And if I find any of those, I'll bring you in. If you watch a lot of my videos, I have found all of the things that I've just mentioned in recent quarter videos, quarter hunts. So make sure you check my playlist, check my video page on my channel, and feel free to go back and watch any number of those videos because we have found all of that stuff in the past. So let me check these last 3 or 4, and then what I'll do, like all the rest, I will go off camera, and if I happen to find anything interesting, I will bring you guys in. That one's called the Spitting Horse. If you can find a die crack that runs right out of the horse's mouth, that's pretty cool to find. All right, so one roll down. We've got one die chip, 31 rolls to go. So we are on the 8th from the last roll, and we finally found something of interest, at least to me. We have come across a San Francisco business strike. Now, this isn't a proof. A proof would have a deep mirror finish. It would be frosted. You can see it. I think in my last quarter video, we found a proof. So you can head on over and check that one out if you want to see the difference. But this is definitely a business strike. Let's see here. What year do we have? This is a 2017 Ellis Island. I'll put the mintage of this one down in the corner there. But the San Francisco minted business strikes are actually lower mintage than the W's. However, they're just not very highly sought after. So, you know, whereas a W might pull in $8 or $10 or $15 or $20, these San Franciscos really just don't go for much on eBay. Maybe a buck or $2 or $3, depending on the condition. But I love finding these San Francisco minted business strikes. I think they're pretty cool. They typically look pretty nice. And I've got almost a full tube of them now, plus a bunch that I've kept in flips. So keep an eye out for these on your hunts because, again, they're not supposed to be in circulation as far as I understand. So up on the board is a find. And just real quick, I did find this a while back. I didn't film it because I thought we would have a bunch more finds than we do so far. But I do have a really good example of a Drooling George. You can see that little die chip there in the corner of George's mouth. This is on the 22 Philadelphia. This is the Sally Ride quarter. So this can be found on pretty much all the 2022 quarters. And typically the bigger the die chip, the more these can be worth. Also, keep an eye out for the little die chip on the nose. You'll find some that have big die chips there on the tip of George's nose. Those can be pretty valuable as well. We are on roll 30, and this hunt, in my opinion, just turned around and made it all worth it, because 4 coins from the end on roll 30, we found a really good looking W. There's that West Point Mint. There's our V75 Privy, which tells us it is a 2020 minted coin because the V75 was only done in 2020. Let's see what we got. We have a Tall Grass Prairie. Well, in the wrap-up, I'll go ahead and throw some eBay comps on the screen so you guys can see what this thing's going for today on eBay. So we have reached the end of our $320 worth of quarters and the end of our entire hunt. I'm not going to recap the dimes and the nickels. You'll have to go back earlier in the video to check that out. But for the quarters, we did end up with a couple of upgrades for the books. We had a decent 1987 Philly. We had a 2005 Philly that's going to be an upgrade. This 2008 Arizona from Philly, it looks like. And this 2017 Denver. I've already checked those against the books. Those 4 will get popped into, here's the 3 books here. We got the National Parks, the Warman's Deluxe, and our Washington Quarter book up through 1987. Starting down here on the end, we did end up with 3 Bicentennial Denvers, all checked for the DDO. None of them had it. I will be keeping this bottom one because it's in pretty good shape. These other 2 are a little worse for wear. We did end up with 7 Philadelphia Bicentennials, and I will hang on to these bottom 2 because they're in decent shape, and I'll kick the rest of them back. I brought you in, I think, for the first one, but not all 4 of them. We had a number of these Wilma Man Killers with the little die chip here in the hair. And I looked these up on eBay, and they were surprisingly going for anywhere from like $1.99 all the way up to about $7 or $8, if I recall. I'll put a comp or 2 on the screen. I was a little surprised to see that. Obviously, I think there's a little bit of luck involved there. And then I think it's just, if you have bidders looking for it at that moment, and if you have decent feedback, somebody may trust you and be willing to spend a little bit more on that quarter. But, in years past when I've done this and months past, they've always been like $1 or $2. So I was surprised to see these selling for as high as $5, $6, $7, quite frankly. The Drooling George, I did not look up for this particular quarter. But again, recollection was maybe $1 or $2 or $3. Now, this Tallgrass Prairie's in pretty darn good shape. I did see in a recent sale, this sold for, one was a little over $14 and one was just like $15.50 or $16. So like I said, these are the quarters that make a hunt worth it. And then last but not least, we had our little San Francisco business strike. I could not find this exact quarter having sold recently, but a lot of the other 2017 business strikes, they were like $1.35, $1.99, $1.85. They really just weren't going for much. And like I said, the mintage on this is likely less than this. I haven't looked up the exact mintages lately, but a lot of the San Francisco mintages or the business strikes were like 800,000 or 900,000 or 1.1 million. And the West Points were 2 million a piece per design. So really surprised these don't go for a little bit more on eBay. So I was a little disappointed with the quarters in that I usually get more, but again, I only did about 2/3 of a box, so, that could have played into it a little bit. Overall, it was kind of a fun hunt. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, let me know by dropping down below and clicking on that like button and leaving me a comment. Let me know if you like these mixed denomination hunts. I know I've done a lot of these lately, and they've been customer wrapped, and they seem to be doing pretty well, so I think you guys like those when they're customer wrapped. I'm curious if you like the bank wrapped. This one was kind of neat because I literally cleared out a teller's safe, more or less, and took just about everything she had in there. So that was an interesting aspect of it, because a lot of times when I do this type of mixed coin hunt, I usually run around to 2 or 3 different banks and pull a little bit of coin from each different bank. So a little bit different here. If you're new to the channel and you like coin roll hunts, make sure you do drop down below, click that subscribe button, and then click that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I do release a new video. I do a lot of coin roll hunts. Apologies, I did a community post, my $1/2. I got 2 boxes of halves. I found a nice 1965. I'll go ahead and I have it sitting right here. I found this nice 1965 silver 40% $1/2 in my $1/2 hunt, but in a fit of cleaning up my iPhone, I deleted all the video. And I do appreciate those of you that went in the comments to try to help me restore it, but I had already deleted it and then gone into recently deleted and deleted permanently, and I just wasn't thinking. So Sorry we missed our $50 hunt this weekend, but I was looking forward to posting it for you. At the end of the day, you missed a bunch of NIFCs in this 1965 $50. So with that, special shout out to my channel members. Really appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Everybody else, I hope you're doing well. Enjoy your 4th of July weekend. Hope you have fun on the 4th and go see some fireworks, spend time with your family. You guys take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.